Hola, hola. I'm Trek with two Ks,
And I am 3D, and welcome to Metaverses the Other Side.
brought to you here on the Gentleman of Crypto Network. Just a heads up, this episode is before we had the idea of bringing the Twitter spaces to the Gentleman of Crypto Network. And so that's why we're talking about the stuff that we're talking about in this episode.
All right. Hola, hola, and buenos noches, aka buenos dias, G and G's. I am Trek with two Ks, and I am a couple minutes behind on this Twitter space, but we about to get it cracking. If you don't know, tonight's review is the movie Tron. This is the 82 version, not the new remake stuff. Not the cartoon. We're actually talking about the movie that came out in 82. And I was actually supposed to watch it, waiting on my co-host, partner in crime, 3D to get in here. I didn't get to finish watching the movie. I just want to put that out there for the folks who listen to this later on, but I definitely watched enough of the movie and I got questions and comments. Just so you know, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know how I am with all the questions and stuff. Nonetheless, that's what we're getting into tonight. The movie Tron and examining the whole thing behind the Tron version of the metaverse. We are not talking about Justin's son. We're not talking about cryptocurrencies or a token. We're talking about the movie, the sci-fi classic Tron. So just waiting on the co-partner to get in here so we can get this going because I took some notes. Yo, can you hear? Are you getting rugged right now? Oh, okay. My bad, my bad. Sorry. There you go. Yeah. What's up, bro? Okay. Oh, I did not get to finish watching the movie. It took me 2 hours to get home today from the other side of Maryland. Um, so technically I still have like another 25 minutes to go. It's probably 20 minutes just because of how credits work at the closing. But nonetheless, like I still got a number of questions. I still got a number of thoughts. I honestly did not realize until I was watching it this go around some of the concepts that were that this movie conveyed in 82, bro. And when you said you left it a message the other day, it was like, yo, I think we're gonna go over an hour on this one. And then I wasn't sure. I was like, are we gonna really do over an hour? I see why you said it now. I see why you said it.
Yeah, I swear someone from Disney had to have had some kind of technological person, someone who dealt in the space when, setting up or writing that movie because it is OMG. Like when I first started watching it, I was like, this is so fucking stupid. And then about 10 minutes in, I was like, holy shit, this is not what I was thinking.
Right, right. Because the way it starts off on that whole real world people thing, you don't really take it anyway. And then but I don't know if it took me 10 minutes in and it wasn't like I was just like, this isn't making no sense. It was more so like, okay, when are we going to get to the computers? When are we going to get to the virtual space? And then I had certain like, um, um, guesses or like hypothesis on stuff. And as like the characters were engaging in dialogue, and it's like, okay, I think I'm on the right track. Thing. And I couldn't remember the plot of the story that like initially in watching it. I did not remember the plot of the story. Also gonna say this. Oh man, I didn't even do the housekeeping things. I'm sorry. We got to do some top of the hour housekeeping, and we'll get into some stuff later on. But top of the hour housekeeping is oh man, in regards to how this is going to play out, these episodes that we're doing for what we're calling Metaverses, the other side. We've been running the last couple of weeks on a series and where we are breaking down movies related to metaverse concepts environments. And there's also TV shows as well as cartoons and anime. There's a cartoon called Tron, which I totally forgot about. There's a couple of other cartoons that deal in the virtual space as far as like inside of computers. But that's a whole nother thing. But nonetheless, like this is what we're running. Reboot. Yeah. Reboot was a classic, man. Reboot was a classic. But my thing to say is that we've been running through a couple of different movies right now, and we also are looking at shows, like I said, cartoons, anime, like in that same anime cartoon thing. But it is not just about us doing movies or live person movies. It's just whichever things come to us, and we just happen to start with Johnny Mnemonic, the first episode within this like series breakdown. And then what was the second one we did?
Lawnmower Man 2.
Lawnmower Man 2. So this week we are doing the movie Tron. We're not talking about the Tron that's connected to Justin's son. We're actually talking about the sci-fi classic itself. With God, what is dude's name? Because he's also in the update remake one too. I can't remember his name right now, but he's Flynn in the movie. And then the dude, Tron, who plays Tron, that's the dude from Babylon 5. Only didn't remember that until I seen the movie.
Yeah, because this was my first time around seeing the movie, and the only thing I'd seen was like a parody. And now I get the parody more now than ever, but my wife was watching me watch it. Like she looked over on my screen and saw me watching it, and she was like, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know that lady. I know that person. And it's like, so all these people were like they were really famous in the early 90s and mid 90s, I think. And my wife went to the guy who Flynn, right? She went through his filmology, and it's just like long as fuck. Like he has been in so many things, and he's like, like almost like that guy from Baywatch type person. Once you see his face, you know him, but you can't always put him in the right spot, but everybody seems to know him. Oh man. Now I have to admit, like, this movie was insanely good. Especially for it being an actual Disney film from the 80s. I just like, if you went through like, just looking at the movie, it basically, someone had to have seen compartments and components from these devices, and it had to have had some kind of concept where it's basically like everything you take of what a digital item is, and they just kind of made a artistic perspective on it. Like all the like walkways and stuff are very like plugins. They look like outlet. Like there's one where they have like that, I don't remember what the heck it was, the robot thing, the recruiter or whatever, and he hijacks or whatever, and he goes through, like right before he crashes it, he goes through some opening, and that opening, it looks like a PCI slot. It looks like something you would have like a 16-pin PCI or something. Oh my gosh, like some of it is kind of whack, like there's that pool of water that they're calling energy or power source. And it's like, what, you just have like an open copper rail and on your PCB or something like that? Like, some of that made no sense, but I got the point of it. Like, the whole point of that was like, if they wouldn't have done that, then the guy wouldn't have had enough energy to do some of the stuff he does later. But I don't know. When I first saw that laser pointing directly at the person in the chair, I knew from that point, I was like, all right, I know exactly how it's happening now. How they're getting in or whatever. And I even want to point out that like the ideal that they talk about in turning objects digital basically is called proton imprinting. And it's something that they actually can do. Now, bringing it back, we have not actually been able to do it. And like when you do it, you don't actually get rid of the original. It's still there. But they did it with an apple, and they were able to move an apple from like one building to another building. And it was technically, if I remember right, it was technically from one country to another country because the other building, which wasn't super far away, was in another country. Like the building was split in between two places, like it was on the border or whatever. And when they did it with the apple, it actually shrunk the size of the apple. So they were able to basically destroy the apple with lasers. And when it was reconstructed, it actually was smaller and weighed less. And what they had basically figured out was the apple lost all of its water molecules, all of its water. So it was only the weight of an apple. If you took like a whole apple and threw it into like a dehydrator, you know how
Yeah.
they get like, it was the exact same weight as one of those. So, I mean, like just that ideal though that they're talking about the laser and stuff, kind of, sort of, yeah, kind of, sort of, not, yeah.
Okay. So, so when that scene happened, I was just like, okay, wait a minute. We're just jumping into straight organic matter. Like we're not. Okay. So maybe I'm a little spoiled on the end of I watched how many other sci-fi movies after that, and then like that thing always comes up about the barrier was how do you deal with organic matter over non-organic matter, right? And that was
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first thing that popped into my head, which was, wait, so we're just jumping into organic matter? Oh, okay, like let's see what this guy. And then once I seen it work, I was like, oh, okay, so that's how he got into the computer. Because I remember the free scene of him like, oh, and then he gets digitized. Other thing I thought was interesting, which made me think of you and how we were talking about how metaversal spaces are measured, and then the whole thing about like the scaling, and it also made me think of the the caching challenge that we're doing for the Builder DAO, which is in conjunction with the Crypto Mindset Reset um, 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 uh, virtual conference that's going to be in December on the 13th and 14th. Putting that out there for folks to know. But it made me think of that because the visualization was what got me. Was they used the cubic spacing, and
Yeah.
I
Not only did they
instantly
use the
thought of
cubic
you.
spacing, they have meta caching in that freaking game. I mean, like in that movie, that guy's trying to find data that's cached somewhere in there. It literally is meta cached in there.
I did not put that one together. I did
So,
not.
because like when those first few scenes where you see like the software acting as if it's real things, like the program which end up being a tank. He made a tank game, and he was having the tank go off. That tank was physically software, right? And the way I looked at it was they're running AI software and just interacting with the AI interface level. That's why he was
Okay.
talking to the computer and not typing into the computer. And then when they did type in like their passwords and stuff, they're like, I have level 6 clearance and here's my password. And you know what I mean?
Yo, so so I started realizing that. So, okay, so, hey, if you have not seen this movie, like, we gonna go through X amount of spoilers, and we're gonna geek out on a couple of things in here. Um, but the other thing to know was that, the master computer arguably turned in it was an algorithm that had virus-like quote tendencies. Because okay, that was another thing I noticed from the jump, like when they first introduced the programs in the virtual world of where they had emotion. So it was the one dude who was afraid when he got destroyed. Um the other program that was a part of like the accounting thing. And he was like, yeah, my user is going to be really mad and blah, blah, blah. And you got like, you don't understand. Like if I run too much, I start huffing. And it's like, what you're a software. Where are we getting these human tendencies from? Emotion, fear, physical limitation. right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I thought that was a bit
like
strange too at first.
so like that was catching me. But then when you look at how the master program is acting, he's egotistical, he's dominating and domineering, and um the the virus behaviors of like continual consumption. So he's gluttonous. And I'm saying he just because of how they did the voice thing, even though it really arguably should not have had any gender identification or gender label. But this is the 80s. So, you know, we running how we running with that.
I mean, in the end, it was a guy face and a guy running the internal system. Like when he turns and then he slowly fades out, it actually is Dillinger in that suit.
True. Wait. Okay. I thought that was there was a couple of like cinematic things that I thought was really interesting for how they did it, where it's like the user who writes the program looks like the user.
Yeah, yeah.
And
The whole like software thing experience is simply a metaphor for the conflict between the characters.
Mm.
Now
like I said,
that
go ahead.
that's just the storyline perspective. That's why they did that. So the kids would be able to point together, oh, that is this and this is that. Because you have to remember, this was originally pointed towards children. This is for 8-year-old and up.
Yeah, it was a Disney movie. It was a Disney movie in the 80s. Like it still blows my mind that it was 82. Like and thinking about what came out, so like they're competing with Star Wars. Well, is Star Wars Disney
Star
at that time?
Trek. It wasn't Disney, but it was, oh no, I don't think it was on in 82.
Well, no.
I do know
So
like, it was a prevalent, like they were going to Comic Cons and talking to people and stuff.
right, and then like Dune is um an early movie too, because Dune was early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It,
we're kind of getting lost in the geekness of the timeline of movies and stuff, but the idea that the concepts being conveyed here. Hey, what's going on, Brandon? Thanks for joining in. That are being conveyed for you know, uh, like the virtual world and like the concepts of the structure and the environment and like the what is it the UI.
yeah, UI, UX.
Yeah. um oh, okay, so another thing that I thought was interesting, and I wrote a couple of the things down because I was just like, wait, I gotta bring up this one, was where was it the thing with the program, the inoperative data programs, and
Oh, yeah.
how when he was walking down that hallway, and then like you seeing one of them stare back at him, like the two ones in the pink um outfits, we're gonna say. I think there is so much stuff to try to break down in that movie, and like I said, I still have like another 20 minutes to go, but it was still
Not,
crazy.
you didn't have much.
Huh?
So that 20 minutes, I think 10 minutes was credit. So you really didn't have much.
Yeah, see, and I was thinking the same thing. Like I'm like, that's what. So is it shows what is it, 25 minutes? So I figured about 5 minutes or so was just credits.
Yeah, credits were excellent. I actually watched the credits to make sure there's nothing in the end.
Is there any like extra clips or anything in there?
Nah, and they didn't do that stuff back then, so it makes sense that it's not there. But um, the version I was watching was supposed to be like special edition or whatever, so I was just hoping there'd be more. But no, there's nothing at the end of the credits, just long ass credits for no reason.
You know, there's a documentary.
I did not know that.
Okay, that soap link that I sent to you. If you search,
Yeah.
you'll find a documentary because that's how I became aware of it.
Okay. Wait.
Hey, so I just want to open it up so Brandon could jump in. Because I asked in the Telegram group, I was like, anybody into sci-fi movies? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, what you know about 82 Tron? And he was like, oh, I know about it. I said, okay, well, come on over.
Hey man, hey look, I'm still looking for that video game, because I played video game religiously. If you ever went to the arcade and played it, you depending on which way you moved the joystick, it took you to a different part of the game. So you either the cars, you had the spiders that was coming down, you had everything. I knew every which way to possibly go to play that game. So yeah, Tron was my joy. It took a long time to get that sequel, but it was what it was.
That's good to hear. I didn't realize they made a Tron game. Like, god dang,
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah.
more behind this one than I realized.
Oh yeah. It was a stand up at the arcade. I was that was my jam right there.
And that's what's up. I love that Sega racing game. I can't remember the heck it was called, but the real basic Sega racing game was mine. Love that thing.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking. Yeah, I for like regular Sega, I'm trying to think of some really good games. For that. But yeah, I was arcade a lot more.
Oh, they had it at the arcade. Like, it was this big machine. You'd sit in it, have a seat, have a little thing cover over it, and you would play the actual racing game. And sometimes if there was two of them, one next to each other, you guys could actually play with each other. But that's a little bit newer. That was like in the 90s.
Right. Yeah. I remember Hang On, which was the motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
That was I know that was the second.
Oh, nice.
All right, so there's a couple other things I wanted to jump into that I had wrote down about this movie. Sorry to cut off the memory lane stuff so much, but we will eventually get to other things. I know we're gonna segue at some point. So here's a question. All right, we know Wayback Machine, right? The website that allows you to look at older web pages. My question is, in the beginning of the scene, before they go into the company, and they're at the arcade place and they're in his room, when he's breaking down how he created the game, he starts off saying, all right, let's do way back something. Is that where that comes from?
I don't know if that's where it comes from, but I do know the Wayback Machine was a thing in the late 70s, early 80s.
It was,
But
it was also on the cartoon, and I want to say it was Mr. Peabody.
Yeah. Peabody.
Berman. That was their time machine.
Okay. Because like when he said it, I was like, wait a minute, did he say Wayback Machine? And I'm like, wait, did we have computers with that? And okay, funny, I never really got into Mr. Peabody as a cartoon thing, but yeah, I do know it was a time travel stuff going on with it. So okay, all right. I thought I caught something. I guess I didn't. All right.
But I mean, it could still be the same thing because it would have come after Mr. Peabody, right? So they could have used the exact same terminology and referenced it. But yeah, so I mean, you still might be on the right track.
All right. And then jumping into another gear, which, okay, And this is something I kind of wonder too about how metaverses are going to work now, considering what's going on with the AI machine learning stuff, right? Where, what am I trying to say? So one of the things that I'm curious about, and then I don't know yet how to figure out how to integrate these two things. And I had said this in the group the other day, and you had responded back, Brandon, because somebody asked something about like AI and something else, and I was like, I don't know about that stuff. I'm over here trying to figure out AI and metaverses.
Yeah, they asked about AI and blockchain.
Yeah. So, my thing was I'm trying to figure like, how do you integrate AI into the metaverses as far as like, if you're doing a store and you have, some kind of art thing, cause like we got the generative art stuff now. So can you just do a museum and have the museum be AI generative art, or you can make the experience of where people can come into your art exhibit and do like live creation pieces by interacting with an AI that would generate the art right there in front of them, right? And in the movie, there's a part where, um, okay, so okay, Dillinger's character in the movie who works for the master program, his job is to train the other programs that they absorb and take over. So arguably, it's the AI doing machine learning or training other programs to learn to do a particular thing. In the case of the movie, it's about learning how to play these particular games and going through that whole thing. But in this more like, modern day real world, whatever you want to call it thing, um, us, I think how we do it now or how we look at it is if we put enough data points in, the machine learns to a certain degree, the algorithm learns to a certain degree, and then like, do we get to a point where it can teach itself?
In theory, that is the goal. Like, true AI should be able to edit some code, teach itself, and find ways to correct itself. Like, one thing I've noticed is right now, all the AI systems for AI generative art, there is no way to tell the AI when it does something wrong. When you go, no, this isn't the type of output I'm looking, which causes the AIs to generate more crazy and crazier stuff as they keep going on, as they keep being built up. So, true AI supposedly would be able to edit itself as well as find ways to correct itself. And training itself, there are AIs that can already do that, where they can actually take training models they've already seen or they have examples of for both good and bad, and create other training models by recording itself. So there was this guy, he taught an AI how to walk in a game. So it, like started off as a stick figure, and then he gave it a 3D model, like a VRM or something. And after he got a VRM, it would start screen recording itself and then using that in its own models. And after every rendition, whatever it tries to do the task, and if it's correct or not, you tell it, yeah, no, yes or no. And then from there, it would then categorize where that training model should be considered as, and actually learn from its own actions in that manner. But most AI does have some form of self-regulated learning where the task is to, make the pixel jump 3 times or whatever. And until it's able to actually perform that properly, it will keep telling itself, I did this and it was not right. I did this and it was not right. And
Good point. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, there's like little things that, even though it's not described as that in the movie, I don't know if it's just because like we're here decades later, and for us in particular, we're more on the techie geeky side. So there are things that we're aware of as far as concepts and like things that are being built out now and going, oh, okay, that's what that is in relation to the actual technology. Yo,
Yeah, I think it's because we're tech.
yo, hold on. There was an Easter egg I just seen. There's a Mickey Mouse logo in the virtual space.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I have the video. I have it playing on mute right now. And I literally just looked up and saw there's a Mickey Mouse logo in the virtual scene when they're on that like cross beam thing and they're going across from the domain, I think, of the master program to try to get to the other side.
Oh yeah, when they're actually trying to go to the they're going out of the game domain to the software domain.
Right. I wouldn't even thought of that. I mean,
Now, did you notice that that guy that sits down at his desk and then his computer goes, "Oh no, there's no level 7 access today," da, 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 and he has to, like, he's the guy actually building Tron or whatever. In his cubicle, there is Word. And when I first saw him, I was like, "Is that Klingon?" And then when I looked it up, I was like, "Oh shit, no, that's the phrase that is told to the robot that causes it to completely stop what it's doing in that other movie." And I was just like, "Holy fuck!" Like, that's a hell of a reference.
Yo, we're on the same page, bro. Because when I seen the shot, I was like, hold on. I paused. And then I was like, all right, I got to figure out, what does this mean? And so if you don't, okay, for the folks who might not remember the movie, or the folks who are like, well, what the hell are they talking about? In the movie, the guy, the creator of Tron, he's helping Flynn and his girlfriend, Flynn's ex-girlfriend, get into the system to be able to find the file that they need to prove what's going on in the system. So when he goes, so when he goes into his cubicle, they give you this like over the top kind of shot of the cubicle, and you see one of the walls, and on the wall is this saying, and the saying comes from the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, in where the alien who came to Earth told the human that if anything happens to him, she was supposed to say it to the robot that was standing by the ship. And now I have to go watch that movie at some point this weekend, because like when I seen that, I was like, oh, you know what else that just clicked to me right now? How many other Easter eggs are in this movie that we didn't realize? Like I literally just happened to look up and saw the Mickey Mouse logo, and then I honestly didn't put together the saying in the cubicle that was an Easter egg. Like,
did you notice the frisbees?
Say that again?
Did you notice the frisbees? Like the official frisbee was made just like right before that movie, like a couple of years or 3 years before.
Huh, did not.
So that's why like the thing that they're all using, that this encrypts your data and stuff, is actually a frisbee, and they use it like a frisbee.
Yeah.
Just because like, frisbee and frisbee golf was just really starting to boom.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Golf was a thing in the 80s? Because I only learned about it a lot later than that.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like 80 or 81 when the ideal of frisbee golf became an actual thing. And it was done by some school like Yale or something like that.
I mean, think about it. They even had the game Hialeah in it. And I never even made the connection of that being a thing. I mean, at that way, I want to say like early teenage years, I knew about it because we lived in Florida when I was younger, but it never clicked to me as far as the movie thing until just now.
The only thing I remember, and this just goes to show you how strange I am. So they actually showed that in the beginning of Miami Vice. If you remember,
They were one of the cuts in the intro.
Yeah, they would be playing it there. I'm like, man, look at that. But yeah, that's crazy. I never really saw it growing up. Well, I'm from Ohio. It's a little different. We don't, we don't play anything up there but basketball and shit like that.
See, I never seen anybody play it. I just knew it was something that was played, and then I forgot where they played it. Like they actually had the official, like, you know, courts and everything for it. Funny enough, Hialeah is just the version of friggin' handball. Like the poor man's version is handball. I don't even know if they have teams in Hialeah. Like, is there an association for that? Like, is it still around? Do people still play?
I'm sure it is. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a long time. You know, you see things of, I mean, it looks very lacrosse-esque too, you know, or whatever between
Yep.
between lacrosse and handball. I haven't seen it. Not around here anyway.
As odd as it is, Hialeah is a board game as well.
Really?
Yeah. But this whole time I thought you guys were talking about a board game. I was like, I never been playing a board game. And then when you guys said lacrosse, it hit me. It's like, oh, okay, now I know what you guys are talking about. I think lacrosse is just what they all do now instead of the actual old handball.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, there was another question that I had that I was. What is the? Okay, there it is. What was the other thing that I was thinking about? Video game setup. You know how and I think I don't know if this is necessarily like machine learning, the machine learning side of it, but how okay. The guards in the I don't know if to say prison, but in the master programs domain, the guards that were there. If you were in a video game, the guards would be the what's the name of the character, like what's the name of the computer characters that you can interact with, and they have certain like roles and functions.
Like spreadsheet?
No. Like in a computer game, roles and functions, like you interact with the local people in a town, but it's not actual other live players behind it. It's the computer's generated community or whatever.
Oh, NPC.
NPC, thank you. So would the guards count as NPCs?
Yeah. I would even say like the guards represent transfer of data. You know, like when you're moving stuff around on the computer, you can like forcefully move something from its original file, whatever, and put it somewhere else. That's kind of how I looked at gel. Like that's the difference between a buffer or RAM, and then the guards was just transferring the data.
Okay. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like, and this, I feel like this was a good pick of movie because of just how much stuff is packed into it. And for where we are right now for AI, for blockchain, for metaverses, for just technology, computer systems, gaming, like, and it's still one of those like, wow, this was 82. Like, so like they probably made it in 81, but it's like, how much research did you put into it? You get what I'm saying? Like, it was,
Yeah, go on there.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's exactly what I was thinking. Like there had to been someone with technical knowledge into boardroom, the writing team or something, because it's just too damn accurate.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was the Matrix of the '80s, right? When you start really thinking about how the Matrix is set up, of just understanding the real terms of computer life, and you know everything that's actually in it. It was literally the Matrix of the '80s. Of just understanding exactly what motherboards and everything else is, compiled up, and just programming as a whole. So I think I think it was definitely before its time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there.
Okay. And then, so another thing to note is that at the end of the day, this is two AIs fighting it out. Like, Tron is an AI, Tron is actually a security AI, well, an intelligence security AI. And then Master Program is an intelligent AI, like I said before, that has the virus-like tendencies of the consumption of data and systems. Tron is like Galactus. Not Tron. Master Program is like Galactus.
Yeah. Now I would even say like what we have here is a future eventual, like we all know like the first virus invented found its way out of its own incorporated shell, found its way to the internet, and it spread itself. So we're definitely going to get to a point where people need more botnets to do more attacks. And we already see botnets being used like crazy. So it's just a matter of time before someone who actually builds good AI and algorithms gets with a botnet maker or a botnet executor. And then they just turn that into a type of virus. So whenever they need to perform an action, you would have like pay on the blockchain, and then it just initiate the swarm, or it initiates the attack or the vector or whatever it's got to do. I almost feel like you're right. Like I was saying earlier, I honestly felt like all of the programs had AI built into them, and they're just talking to the people just really talk to the AI interface, and it does the rest, because that's what you really get from it with all the emotions and stuff, right? With the software and stuff. That's what I got, that they're all some form of AI.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it still just throws me for putting in like, this is 81. This is like 82. Like, who was the computer science guy who was sitting in on this, or the computer engineer? Like, whoo. And then what was the other thing?
It would have had to been the Wozniak, bro. The Wozniak kind of.
What was the other? Okay, here's a question for you. The dude Walter, the old guy,
Mm-hmm.
who does he represent?
Okay, so like the whole thing is originally a video game company. And the guy made video games. The Brown Box. So that would be the creator of the Brown Box, as who he represents. He actually looks kind of like him. Like when the Brown Box creator finally got recognized as actually being the original creator of video games, it was in the 2000s and something. And he looks very similar to the guy in Tron, just because he was old. But when he was younger, he has still a really close resemblance to that guy.
All right. So, but all right. I get what he represents in regards to the real world side of it. Cause like the due diligence a dick. So he was like, well, it could be a raid. Bruh, like, I made this shit. Like, why are you even talking to me? Like, I didn't make this shit.
Oh, okay. So like, what is it like in there? Okay. So,
but what is it like in the virtual side of it? Cause like, Tron,
Legacy code, man.
Yeah.
We don't need your old ass anymore. And we'll put you over in a corner.
Yeah, because he holds the IO. Like on your computer, there's always a board called the IO board. It's the in out. It has all your ports and everything. He handles all of that. So he's your main microprocessor, or your main processor. And I'm sorry, bro, I don't know your name, but like he just said, legacy code, that's like your base technology that you're building everything else on.